All right, hopefully you guys can see this. How's it going? So I'm gonna talk about why you should never use checks anymore. A lot of people still use them. Usually they're senior citizens. There's some millennials still out there that are using checks, but um, I'm kind of giving you my spiel as to why you should never use checks anymore. Um, and I'm just gonna give you some reasons. I don't know how many reasons I'm gonna give, but there's a few of them. So I'm gonna label this why not to use checks. So number one, since there's not a lot of people using them, the companies that still make them um, aren't getting much foot traffic. So that means that they have to make their money up per customer. So what happened was they started charging more for checks. So if they're not getting a lot of volume, meaning a lot of people aren't getting a lot of checks nowadays, they got to make their money up by each customer that they bring in. So in essence, this basically caused checks to increase. The cost of checks um, increased. So now it got expensive. It gets expensive to order checks. There's some places still out there that do that are considered budget checks, like I forgot what the website's called. It starts with it's a Vistaprint. Vistaprint does them for fairly a cheap price, but there's Deluxe out there that charges for 150 checks. I think it's like $40 or something like that. So it can get expensive, charging or ordering checks for just for your checking account. There's some places that do it, like Costco, Walmart. I think they do them online too. There's cheaper alternatives, but for the most part, it could get expensive. So that's my number one reason. Number two is it's not secure, and what I mean by that is the reason checks were originally invented was because there was no other means to have access to your checking account back then. So a checking account, hence the name, came with checks. So that's how you accessed your money. You wrote checks off that checking account. You didn't have a debit card, you didn't have online banking, you didn't have anything else. You had checks. Checks were the number one way you had access to your funds. How they didn't even have ATMs back then. Um, so that it's not secure because you have all your information on one check. So you have your routing number of the bank and your account number on the check. So your information is being exposed now because we have online banking. A lot of people are committing fraud by just getting the routing number and account number to your checking account, and they're cleaning you out. This usually happens with, again, who's the primary customer for ordering checks? Senior citizens and some millennials still, because they think they need it or they're used to it. So the people that are being um, becoming victims are the senior citizens because of that reason. Because it's so easy to manipulate, um, and that's not my number two reason. They're just not secure. Some people still use them. Oh, my hairdresser, my salon, whatever I go to, they still take checks, so I use it there once in a while, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. I mean, if nothing's happened to you, fine, that's great. More power to you. But your information is still being exposed. I don't care who you are. Your information is still out there now. Your routing number and account number. Imagine this. Imagine a place asking you, what's your account number and what's your routing number? You're just giving it to them. You're just giving it to them. Just because it's a check doesn't mean that you're not giving them pertinent information to your account. You're giving them access, full access to your account. They can take the routing number and account number and purchase anything they want on Amazon if you have the funds in it. So that's number two. And then number three, um, this is so stupid. The delay in payment. So what I mean by that is when you write a check, it's not automatically deducted out of your account, right? Just like a debit card would be. Like if you use your debit card for the checking account, you would see that deduction happen almost instantly, and that would deduct it out of your account. With checks, you have floaters, floating checks, as they call them, checks that haven't been checks that have been issued by you but haven't been cashed yet from your account. So that can cause problems. That can cost you to think or cause you to think that you have more money in your account than you really have. So that's why you would, balance your checkbook. If you're going to write checks, you have to balance your checkbook. So there's more time involved too. Time involvement. When I make a purchase with my debit card, I don't need to balance it. It's going to show on my account. Like I can access it with my online banking. I see it on my phone every day. I see what I've purchased every day and it's deducted out of my account. There's no time involved. So I save time by doing that, right? But that's number 4. I don't think I have a number 5, but I kind of wanted to let you guys know because it's been brought up several times at work as to whether or not someone needed checks, and I always try to steer them away from it because of these reasons. They're just a dying feature. It's not really worth to get these checks anymore, especially if there's a huge cost to obtain them. You're basically paying somebody to, to make these checks for you, and then you go and put your information out there, risking your account, risking your money, and then you have to keep track of these checks that you're making, and then balance a checkbook. So before you order checks and before you think you need to order checks, stick with the alternatives, which is debit cards, cash, online banking, bill pay. We're in 2017. I don't think you guys need checks anymore. There's a couple of places, a couple of restaurants that I like to go to that still use cash. So that's one way. Online banking. So you can transfer between accounts on online banking. You can also do bill payments to either a person or a company from online banking, from your credit union or your bank's online banking platform. Wire transfers. I said debit card, credit card. Credit card is one of the most secure ways of paying people because you're not using your money here. You're using the bank's money. So if something were to be compromised on your credit card, so I would recommend doing online purchases with credit cards only because this is not your money. This is not being deducted out of your own checking account with a debit card or like a debit card is. A credit card is basically just using the bank's money. So if anything were to be compromised on your credit card, it's not your money. You don't need to worry about your checking account. So online purchases should be kept with a credit card or should be done with a credit card. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, let me know.